It's a real dastardly scenario.
Zeus once more stepping up to play with the big boys as Major Pride and Vampire cower beneath the ire of Zeus. The thunder rumbles and the lightning's to follow. Major Pride holding as 3. Evo Station down first, and it's Eren to draw blood. Run them through as they rampage on in, but Major Pride have more to say about it. A conversation now as Rita rolls in through the doorway.
Fight's not done quite yet for Vampire. Still 2 players up on the other side of the warehouses. Rita, let's go top side. Only 2 players right now for Zeus. Major Pride takes a nasty knock on the nade.
Sing is covered. Eren is still there. Losing a player for Zeus, but it's a 1v1 now as Tony K extracts value for Vampires. A Molotov to the backlines. Will Zeus find the res? BTR scouting this. They're moving in on the south side of the map. Could potentially third party. A south shift Team Spirit's way as we keep on going with this fight as Vampire want to cling to this one desperately.
Any points they can get, as far as they can go here. 152 points. I mean, the best thing about it is that Major Pride goes out early. The worst thing is that Alpha 7 is likely to get more points out of this game, even as 3 players over on this northern compound. They were really thrown a lifeline here and be tugging on that one as much as they can to pull themselves back into a position where it doesn't feel unlikely that they will be dropped out from the top 3. Eren finishes up, and that's 8 eliminations now for Zeus, despite dropping down to 1 player. And I think Major Pride's biggest mistake here is even attempting to try and take this fight in the first place. I think it's a really awkward area when a lot of things can go wrong. There's so many angles to deal with. Unless you can clear it up quickly, the fact of the matter was with the circle hadn't really confirmed over towards this location. I think you're better off sending off towards that western side, because this is one of the worst positions when it comes to third parties. As soon as the fight starts to go wrong, the call shouldn't have been to drop the 4th player off the ridge and come join him in the fight. It should have been to drop back to the anchor of the 4th player on the ridge and leave. It was a bad maneuver from Major Pride. It's simple as that.
Very unfortunate, but let's talk about the circle a little bit here, Blaine, because right now Vietnamese fans are happy. DXavier in the middle of this one, and with a chance to jump up with Vampire out the way, with Major Pride out the way, MSJ, they're out on the outskirts. Definitely a team that can make it work for themselves, but there is opportunities just presenting themselves so frequently now for DXavier to see if they can find it. Zeus will go down 8 limbs. That is a good result yet again, and once more, I will sing their praises. This is an impressive first showing for them. BTR find the last player on RSG as well. And that will be the death of them. BTR getting some healing on, and will get on their way on the south side.
Zuki just placing his hand on the dagger from RSG and sheathing it for him. I think that the days of backstabs will shortly come to an end. Both Harame Bro and RSG likely to fall out in that bottom 5 and not progress further into Pmgc, which honestly I think some of the top teams will be quite happy with, considering the amount of games that they've been able to ruin.
Absolutely. They'll continue to have a go over towards Inco as well on the northwest side for Harame Bro anyway. They've got 2 players alive. That's enough to cause problems, especially on the west side of Alpha 7 and DRX close by. It's always them. Inco might be able to handle the pressure though, as range goes down. Inactive as well. Looking to keep that angle under control. And yeah, a really difficult approach here. I don't think the Harame Bro can get across this one.
It's massively unlikely. I mean, they're ticking down to the blue as well. Stage 4, almost stage 5 is going to really start to hurt soon, and options are going to get super limited for Harame Bro. They're just doing their best to just extract points, essentially, from the lobby. This next circle to pop with Team Spirit down towards that southwest side. DXavier looking to control from that central high ground. And the circle pops back towards the north, so towards Horror. And Bro Harame just remaining a problematic opponent for Inco.
DXavier in the middle. The pieces are falling into place, but they've got to solve the puzzle. make their way up towards the top. Inco, they're behind Alpha 7. Familiar with this team. They've been playing against them in Americas. But it looks like that familiarity is going to lead to caution, and probably rightly so. Divert south of Alpha 7. Get away from it. MSJ, they've been slowly encroaching from the northeast side, and we haven't seen too much from them today. Is Miramar where they will make their final stand, their final bid towards the top of the tables?
Sejong, as for eastern side, not a horrendous spot to be playing in. They can play down towards that high ground that sits outside from Horror. Good spot actually for both Horror and DXavier, because both those positions sort of support one another. From the high ground that Horror plays, and then DXavier essentially plays the front man for that team. So it's a position that works hand in hand with one another.
DRX peppering shots. South Korean infighting here across the way as both teams find a position to approach Aura's compound. And this is going to make it tough. Both teams powerful in their holds. Hoxie on the forefront. Right now, MSJ are closer to it. They have a little bit better of a position in my estimation. But DRX, this is a team that can fight with their backs to the wall. We've seen it before.
They're a scary team, especially when it comes down to the wire. BTR down towards that south side, 10th place. They do not want to drop into 11th and give opportunity to be knocked out here. I think they're fairly safe right now. Horror is actually an issue, to be honest. With the two Elans they have and the incredibly strong position, this would be, now I'm thinking about it, this would be a crazy game from Horror if they're able to continue to extract points out from this spot on that north side. It's actually very much doable to get a 20-point game out of this.
Have to get rid of Loops, get rid of BTR, and both of them right on the edge. Definitely, you're right. I mean, this is doable. Maybe something completely unexpected, and I guess the Nepalese are pretty happy, along with the Vietnamese this time around, with DXavier in the middle and Aura on the northeast side.
A lot of people had high expectations for Aura. I think they were saying this is a very good team. Nepal usually fields very good squads that do come in quite unexpectedly into Pmgc. Haven't quite performed up to task though, as I think a lot of people expected them. But yeah, this is a strong spot for them. You need a little bit of influence, but again, here we go. So for DXavier, Horror, as well as Team Spirit, you kind of have this staging that goes down from the highest ground to the lowest ground, Team Spirit. But those three teams, in my mind, are at least in the top 4 going forward.
MSJ losing a player to a knock here, trying to move forwards, but BTR from the south side get the shot, and it's Hoxie to fall. A really important player on the MSJ roster. Miran Sejong will be sad to lose that one, especially at such an important time here, but can they play on with 3? Can they make it work? Because historically, their weakness has been a lack of the ability to go for a 2-2 split. And with only 3 players, again, that's mathematically just not possible. Seiwoo steps up, puts some lead down range, but doesn't find a knock.
That's how they're going to roll out on this one as well, getting further into the circle. It's unfortunate that Hoxie has to be the playmaker so many times, though, for them. Because not only is he scouting, he's also making these clutch plays. So if he goes down on a scout, you lose a real critical player for yourself. Team Spirit doing damage over towards BTR as they try and make their way in. They are directly opposed to them on the eastern side. Twisted Minds fighting so much damage over towards Miran Sejong. Down to 1 player. It might be survival stage for this team, unfortunately. And DRX will have to wave that flag for them in the grand finals if they don't make it.
A bit of a test here. Well, I say a bit, a massive test for Aura to hold out DRX, and a skill check for DRX in return as well. Prove to us, prove to the lobby that you can take these compounds. They negotiate, they navigate that north side and come out looking really, really good on the better end of that deal. But now they have to approach and play that CQB. They can't finagle their way through this. You've just got to punch and swing for the hills. Let's see what they can do on that north side. Meanwhile, on the south and then on the west, there's fighting breaking out. Loops under pressure, trying to defend their spot now with Aura in a decent position. You got to remember that every point matters, even at the bottom of these tables, even into the final two matches.
It makes me laugh that Inco put so much pressure over towards Loops and they've just left Nenebete to essentially 1v3 versus Alpha 7.
Well, it might work.
Doing it. Why did you put away the DPS, man? God.
We'll find it, but in come the rest of Inco to roll on over. Alpha 7 in danger here. Pressure from Juancho as he steps up first. Around the side, it's inactive, and the shotgun shell's going to ring on out. It's the Americas biting back for Inco. They go over the top, but they're not connecting here with the DBS. There's the flush, looking for the Renock as well. Revo still healthy, but spotted, and another one seen. It's Alpha 7 to fall. DRX could move on past, and DX Xavier as well, with an outside chance.
DX Xavier, yeah, from this position, it's unbelievably good. Hilarious, to be honest. Nenebete, just go deal with the best Brazilian team in the world. It'll be fine. You'll be all right. And he does as he's told, makes it work. And Inco themselves up to 5 eliminations at the back of it. They do sacrifice Nenebete because he puts his DBS away, thinking the job's done. It's not. And the circle locates itself directly on top of DX Xavier. This is their big moment they have been waiting for. Now is the time not to mess this up.
Unfortunately, Blank, they've not got any eliminations so far, though, which means that their point scoring capability severely diminished. Sure, they might be able to find a chicken dinner from this spot. It's a powerful area. They are in a great, advantageous position. But the value of a chicken dinner, 10 points. If they can get 5-6 eliminations, that's a 16-point jump. With Alpha 7 out on 179, I believe, might be 170. What might be 180, given how many points that they've been able to earn from placements here. But DX Xavier have a massive gap to cross. They need 26, 27, 28 points to close it. However, this is a good start. Taking down a player from Team Spirit and being able to get a gap closing game will put themselves in a position to win in the final.
This is what they need desperately moment for Team Spirit. It's likely going to have to be a wrap over towards this western side, which is why they have been trying to do so much damage towards these teams. Perfect was maybe able to hit that shot up a little bit sooner. Might have been a different story. But yeah, they have to play this ridge side over towards the west. It was either that or the east, which is why they got rid of both these sides. They were doing damage over towards Loops and towards BTR. They noticed that a full 4-man squad had rocked up over towards BTR's location. That is an awesome shot from Nomi. That is what you wanted to see. It's going to be the full rollout from this squad now.
They'll be able to sweep up the western side and give themselves an opening. Effect has taken out the buggy, and shots from Twisted Minds over towards DX Xavier in their stronghold position. Effect, is that a Renock or a flush? I'm not too sure. I think, yeah, no, they've lost a player fully. However, in the meantime, Inco are losing players left and right. Team Spirit force it to just inactive a 3-player approach from the western edge.
Yeah, it's what they needed. They need to make that full push. Sure, they're going to lose a player off the back of it. Effect was sort of late to the party. But well played to them. I know it's just one player, and they can comfortably play this western side. For them, it's about placements and getting a couple of eliminations. If that tags just a little bit of damage, it does. They have the location on lock. Paragin finds a knock over towards one of their players. They are so hungry for this final player in Inco, so they can move further up, play alongside with DRX, who are currently waiting for them. DX Xavier is struggling to even make these peaks, though, at this point in time.
They're in a good position, but they're not really finding the value just yet. Aura doing well. They've been holding the south side of this compound for a while, Blank, and DRX moved out to the west, trying to play that macro game. But Aura wrestled them back into the ring, and it looks like they want this scrap to go their way. So as though lighten it up from the back lines. Sorry, QZ actually, the player to light them up from the back lines here, as the nades can come on through. The damage comes in, but what is that? Is that nade from the back as well? It's going all the way over the top. And Mr. Borro for Aura will keep them going. 5 points found, but on the north side, they've got a deadly march ahead of them.
Team Spirit in nade range of DX Xavier, but lacking nades at the moment. That is the biggest difficulty for them right now. I think it would be very hard to take this game away from DX Xavier, but Team Spirit's done a great job, and exactly what they need to do is just to stay alive in this match, get a top 5 finish, which sees them so safe towards the first place position. It's looking more and more likely that Team Spirit is going to be undeniable into the grand finals.
Spray down Freak, finds one on Lamborghini, lands the headshot at the end. Team Spirit might find this to be go time. Peek over the top of the ridge, get these knocks. A flush over to Lamborghini, goes over to Twisted Minds, who are causing trouble from the south side. They've been pushing up and actually in a decent spot as well to make their way through. 2 players in the center now for DX Xavier, 3 players from Team Spirit bearing down upon them for the ridgeline. But a resurgence for Team Twisted Minds on that south edge as well could make things difficult.
Team Spirit double it back. You can see that the utility is just lacking on a lot of our squads. Horror with 6 nades for Twisted Minds 2. Picking up 1 player there from Horror is great news. 8 eliminations now for the boys on Team Spirit. It's a fantastic Miramar. Honestly, if Team Spirit can win this game, that's it. It's done. They're in, and they don't even have to worry about the final match.
DX Xavier losing 1, losing 2. Twisted Minds advance. Team Spirit, they've taken a knock in response, but is there going to be enough time to pick themselves back up? It looks like there might be. Twisted Minds, however, now in control. 4 players on the middle. Team Spirit looking for the res. It does come through. Matic needs to heal. He needs to heal now. Twisted Minds have nades, however, and that's going to make it hard. Gets that first aid off at a crucial time, and now Team Spirit with 3 players have a chance, but they're being lit up, and it's Freak to find the first. Finds the second as well. Nomi's the last up on the menu. And Team Twisted Minds take on Team Spirit. What a way to close down that Miramar. Oh my goodness me, from the bottom of the tables, how many points were Twisted Minds on before this match? Because that might change things a little bit.
Pretty sure they got a huge amount of eliminations that match as well. I think they're around about that 60, 70 point mark, which sets themselves up for maybe survival. Last Miramar of the day. Very unlikely, though, with the way this team's played, but finally a chicken dinner on the board right at the end of the group stage. And this is what I'm talking about. They get a second place. They're happy with it. They're still clapping. They're high-fiving because that was a good result for them. That's what they need. And this is a team that can take pride in games that don't always necessarily end in a chicken dinner.
No, definitely not. They've done a lot of work so far. The heavy lifting is out of the way, but it is just the consistency that needs to remain. Twisted Minds take the chicken dinner, but all eyes are on that 3rd place bubble.
Yeah, Twisted Minds, man, they did do a roster swap as well. If we didn't notice, Dorn coming out, we had Freak come in, and maybe that's exactly what they needed to do. It's just unfortunately might be too late for them. But we'll get a look at our overalls in a little bit of time here. But Team Spirit with the 10 eliminations they got and the 2nd place finish, that should be it. That should be them done and dusted. Yep. They're going to be making it into the grand finals, which is insanely good for them.
Yeah, Team Spirit were looking so good on their sweep over to the northwestern side too. So double-digit games, man. They've been getting a bunch of those throughout the last 2 days. So Team Spirit are looking so deadly here, and they're going to look pretty comfortable, Hodrix, in the 1st place. So they can maybe cause a bit of issues around the battlegrounds.
Yes, sir, they can, because we just heard from Seven a little bit earlier saying that Team Spirit, they would be willing to make life harder for some of the other squads that are going to try to get into the top 3, especially if they're going to have a lead going into the last match. And guess what? They have a lead going into the last match. So I'm really interested to see if Team Spirit's going to hot drop certain squads or just maybe camp some rotations. Jason, who do you think they would be even going after?
I don't know. Who looked at him wrong in the day? Like,
right?
I don't know.
Someone stole the last
Maybe
biscuit from
Alpha 7.
Kitsune.
I think would be interesting if they would have hot drop Alpha 7 and keep them out somehow, because that gives Major Pride a chance to catch up. Mirren Sejong, maybe DX Xavier as well, if the points are possibly there. But also, I don't necessarily want to count Twisted Minds out just yet either because of that match. We'll see our overalls a little bit of time. I did take a quick sneak peek at it on my side, but I don't want to spoil it. But let me just tell you, there is a world right now where Twisted Minds do somehow make it top 11, and that world doesn't seem to be too far away either with what I've seen on the overalls.
They need a win, I think, is going to be. We'll see exactly what the point difference is afterwards going on the leaderboards, but I mean, that was a confident win, I have to say. I feel like we are slowly but surely seeing better plays from them right now. Maybe, as you said, Jason, having Jordan swapped out for Freak was the best approach, and it worked out great with this win, but that would be a comeback and a half. And imagine they go the entire way to barely qualifying survival to making it to finals. That would be wild. I don't expect it to happen, but
unless you're Jordan,
madness.
Unless you're Jordan, then it's like, well, I guess I need to look for a new team. You know what I mean? Like, if they put in like Freak over him and then they start doing well, it's like, ah, crap. But the fact is, there was a lot of opportunities this game for a lot of teams who needed points. Thinking about DRX versus Hora sitting in those warehouses. I mean, they were a team on the cusp. They needed to start having like a decent game here. They sat back. They eventually did push DRX. I think get the better of them, but not without their own casualties, which then obviously amounted to them being knocked out.
You can feel Juice, right, that they were under pressure that game and they were a little bit stressed and then second-guessing themselves because they were peaking angles against DRX when they were literally 1 HP for most of them. So they were just trying to force the fight. They were so desperate, but when you're 1 HP, one bullet is going to make it count, especially at this point. Look at that. They get peaked over the ridge and there was easy knocks. Luckily enough, though, they do have that one nade to wrap it up, but they definitely are feeling the pressure of this game.
Yeah, I think they did exactly what you said, Max. I think they just played a little too scared, and it's unfortunate because they were in a good spot. I think they would have played a little bit more aggressive. They could have actually made something happen, but it's really unfortunate. Big up on Twisted Minds, though. When it comes to it, I just think that Coop said, I'll do it myself. Because this dude, I mean, he had almost all the eliminations by himself in this one.
Well, so for him in particular, he's always been a phenomenal player, like mechanically, individually, but we've not ever seen him find a team. I can't remember which one of you two said this, where he found a team that can truly unlock his potential and put his potential to work. And I mean, we see right there, right? 8 eliminations himself out of the 12 they had total. Like, that's insane to be able to pull off.
Yeah, I think when you look at Coop's Enigma Galaxy 2, he was one of the top fraggers of the team, if not the single top fragger of the team. So he's just still looking to try and find a spot where he's feeling comfortable. But Twisted Minds, unfortunately, with the kind of results they've gotten, it doesn't seem like it is quite gelling yet. Because it's not a lot of time, especially right after your season to prepare for Pmgc. So they quite having a little bit of a rough time. But on the second page, one team we have to bring up here, Hot Jukes. Mira and Sejong, unfortunately, they could have made in top 3, but this game might just be pushing them out of top 3 for the rest of this group. So this game is a big L for Mira and Sejong.
It's unbelievable, man. These guys performed so well. I thought they were going to be a lock, right? I thought they were going to be a lock for these finals, but just faltering right at the end. And now I know for a fact they're going to have a big hill to climb. Damn, look at those numbers. Those are real good. But besides talking about this, there's something I got to talk about. One team in particular, and that's Xavier on that last one, Max Man, right? I mean, some people would call center position, right, with cover a blessing. But I think for them, it was a curse, this one.
It really was, because unfortunately, sure, you get to the late game, you get top 3 scenario, but one thing that was lacking heavily for Xavier was eliminations. And unfortunately, when you're central position like that, if you start sweeping teams on the edge, you lose your central position to maybe go for the late game, and you offer teams an opportunity to third party on the edge. And Xavier had to make a decision here, and they tried to play it passive, but the lack of elims alone is going to push them lower, and they're still in 6th position.
Oh boy. Here we go, folks. One more match left to go. And Xavier, yeah, I mean, they had 19. The position, but weren't able to get the eliminations. 19 points. That's too much. It's just not going to happen.
Remember, 19 points, that's just a tie. They lose the tiebreaker with Chicken Dinners 3-1. So they need 20 points in Alpha 7 to get 0. Major Pride, they need, 7 points to be able to pass Alpha 7 to be able to lock it down as well. I mean, there's still like a lot of teams in contention. I think Vampire we can maybe put out of it. We can maybe say it's between 6th place and up. But even then, it still technically could be possible for Vampire.
It could.
I want to bring up a prospect here, which is, talked about Team Spirit earlier, Jukes, right? What Seven said, that they might want to try and ruin it for some teams that are currently competing for top 3. Imagine Team Spirit and Xavier both on top Alpha 7. Like, wait, we're trying to get top 3 right now. What are you doing, Team Spirit?
It would be a good strategy, right? Because, I mean, Team Spirit, they don't want to deal with Alpha 7 in the finals, that's for sure. And then Xavier, I mean, they have to take out Alpha 7 if they even want a shot at this thing. I think if Xavier don't, go to El Pozo, if it's in the playing path, then they're giving this game up 100%.
I think if there's any team you want to get rid of when it comes to the grand finals, it's Alpha 7. After PMWC, they are the main threat for the trophy for you. That is the team you want to get rid of ASAP. Though, for teams that are trying to make it to the survival stage, BTR able to jump up a little bit higher, but it's still close, man. Horror could make it, but with how scared they were playing the last game, we need to see elims here.
Twisted Minds can make it. 15 points.
Oh, you're 90.
They win this next game, they're through. Like they're gonna pass one of these teams for sure. Even if they just like
oh, wow.
do decent, well with a decent amount of eliminations, they could pass one of these teams. Like this is what we live for, right? We love these close matches.
Yes.
We love where anything can really happen in that final match. We hate to know who our teams going through are guaranteed go into the final match of the group stage. And honestly, I would not want to be one of these teams. Like the pressure definitely to be made into diamonds here, and you can just see the focus on the team at BTR as well, knowing what they need to do, stay alive, try to get some points, and don't go out early.
Yep, that's going to be the play. And the thing is that the last game of the day of a group like this is always going to be so unpredictable. But let's hear from Seven first.
Welcome back to the last quick report with the 7WG of Group Yellow. I got a chance to talk with Twisted Minds, and the reason why they decided to sit out Dorian is because they wanted to let Robs play. The person that was IGL in that last match was none other than Coops, the person that was able to get 8 eliminations. Can they actually catch up to 11th place because they're currently 15 points away?
Did we just find Coops' new role in his team? We talk about in-game leaders need to be able to frag out, and well, Coops can frag out, and we clearly saw he can in-game lead. I don't know, man. I'm starting to believe. I don't know about you two.
You got the IGL trifecta. You got Coops now. You got Doc on that side also, and you're going to be having also and okay, IGL's Fragger's becoming IGL. Carrillo.
Yeah,
Is that like? Okay, he's not a trifecta anymore.
A quadfecta.
Is that a thing? I don't know.
I'm sure John
It is
will
now.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, guys? Like, the big thing, the reason why I think it's possible is because, you know, there's always the last game shenanigans, right? You got teams at the bottom that know that they're not going to make it. I'm talking about De Muerte. I'm talking about RSG, right? So sometimes these squads, either two things happen. They go crazy because they got nothing to lose, right? Or they just kind of push willy-nilly and get taken out. So, like, it's possible for Twisted Minds to get some points, but I think they need to get active very, very early because we've seen so many times, Max, right? In the last game of a group like this, like half the lobby's gone in like circle 3, right?
Yeah. Because you're going to have hot drops happening, possibly. You're going to have teams playing hyper passive. They're just going to get bullied around the map. I'm not sure. We have so many teams that we really have to be paying attention to going into this last game. This is why I'm happy Jukes were on the desk, because John and Blank, they're going to have so much to look towards in this game.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, one team gets eliminated, it could change the whole really landscape of the leaderboards, how things are going to be looking to qualify in survival stage and, of course, to qualify into the grand finals. This is going to be the last game here of Group Yellow, and it's down to the wire for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what's going to happen here. We're about 20 seconds out. Hop drops, they're possible. Upsets, very possible. It's just about to see who can rise up and flare up at the right time. Gentlemen, yes or no? Are we going to see Twisted Minds qualify right here in this last game?
No.
Oh, come on. I'm trying to build it up and you guys are shutting it
Not
down.
gonna
But you know
happen,
what? I got my boy Coops. He's going to shut both of you down as we head into the last match of Group Yellow. John and Blink, enjoy.
This lobby has been an inferno. So many teams flaring up left and right, taking it toe to toe, time and time again. And we have one more map to play to decide who our top 3 are. Will Alpha 7 feel the ire of a hot drop potentially coming through from Team Spirit? That seems to be maybe something they were talking about. To Alpha 7 adapt in the face of that as well. Everything to play for, and nothing can be wasted here.
There is potential for Team Spirit to go for that. I think that they are just going to secure what they've got here down towards that south side in Chumasera. For Alpha 7, on the other hand, they're just going to look to keep those points consistent. Some of these games have felt a little bit lackluster from them. Twisted Minds, 15 points away. We all know what a good bit of momentum can do for a team. And honestly, for them, coming off the back of that win, straight back onto the same map, we know this is a strong squad. Maybe it was confidence they were lacking. They kept getting knocked down, and suddenly there's an opening for them. When you see that light at the end of the tunnel, you start running towards it.
Major Pride on the south side, they are currently 6 points behind Alpha 7. They're close by to Team Spirit. This could be dangerous for them. Team Spirit opt to try and run them down. the question for me is, who does Team Spirit want to face least? Guaranteed in those finals, right? Do you try and stop Alpha 7 in their tracks? Do you try and stop Major Pride in their tracks? Force them to go into a much tougher scenario in those survival stages. Give themselves that chance. But we are going to see a hot drop. Unfortunately, it's not from one of the teams in a lot of context.
It's important.
No, it's for
It's
Loops.
important.
It's for Loops.
It's important. This is the 11th place team. They get taken down early. All of a sudden, that bubble becomes so much easier to find. Unfortunately for the teams underneath, Loops seems to be dominating already in this fight. 2 eliminations above, making that gap even harder to close for Horror, the Twisted Minds.
Rafinha's got the bag on his head there. But he needs to keep his eyes peeled as RSG. I mean, we've seen what a bother this team can be. Them and Harame Bro have been the ones to spoil so much, but Loops not letting it happen to them today. Hacienda will be theirs for the taking. 4 points and a crucial pickup for Loops.
Cheers all around for the team. They're so happy about that one, and I would be as well. I mean, that might have just ruined your tournament life right there. But they sit themselves now ahead of BTR on 106. So the lifeline now for those teams in 12th and 13th is BTR going out early. That is the only way they can make that jump up. It's still quite a few points required for them. For Twisted Minds, it is 17 points needed on top of them. I think they do win the tiebreaker. I'm thinking back. I don't think we have had a BTR win just yet. Let's have a little look through. 1 win for BTR. Okay, so they wouldn't win the tiebreaker on that one. It'd be down to the placement points and elim, so we'd have to find out at the end of the day. And we check out the leaderboards. If it did happen in the first place, still got to get there.
I mean, with Aura, they've had a chicken dinner as well. I think that was back in day 2. And Twisted Minds now have also had that 1 chicken dinner. So it would be down to placement points next on that tiebreaker. It would be so down to the wire, though, if they can make that jump up. Very much all to play for. And it's still so tense towards the top 3 as well, with Alpha 7 teetering on the edge here. Right now, they are 6 points in the lead, but that is not a safe feeling.
Not at all. 173 to 179. And again, Major Pride is not a bad team whatsoever. They just made a bit of a mistake that last match. And I think it was more terrain understanding based more than anything. They make the right choice at the start to leave the play up on the ridge side, but the follow-up, which was to go all in on that fight, was not the right decision, especially when they had information on the team down towards their south. So yeah, for Major Pride, I think just getting caught up in the pressure here, desperately trying to earn those points to clamber up over Alpha 7 into 3rd place.
Alpha 7 on the rotate. A normal day on Miramar, you'd think, but there's so much riding on this ride out. For Alpha 7 to defend a spot, a direct qualification, it's a team that we absolutely expected to be in this top 3 blank, but it's still yet to be convincing. The Pmgc champions right now under threat, in danger of having to play through those survival stages.
So everyone knows you really don't want to have to go there, because as much as you can be one of the greatest teams in the world, and Alpha 7 certainly meets that metric, a lot can go wrong, and quickly. We look here, Coops is already down for Twisted Minds, and Rob's going with the savior play. As Seven was saying, Coops was IGLing that match and also fragging out. It takes a spectacular and unique individual to be able to make that kind of play and perform that role adequately. So for Coops, it is a big accolade for him on his shoulders, but they don't want to lose him early. He's so important to the game plan, where it's felt so doom and gloom this entire time. Pretty miserable, to be honest with you. Twisted Minds have been given a chance here. The door's been unlocked. It's for them to open it. Rob's going down. BTR nonetheless.
Exactly, BTR so close by to them now. The team that's looking to defend against it. If they can get rid of Twisted Minds, that would be huge for them. A massive relief. And maybe they're looking for it, but the res came through. Twisted Minds stay as 4.
Yeah, man, it's so crazy how we've already had Loops in danger. Now we have both BTR and Twisted Minds. This is a real case for Twisted Minds to take destiny to their own hands, right? Try and fend off that squad and create a gap that they can squeeze through. They're in Sejong to fight off against Orame Bro here. Been a consistent problem.
Just constantly pestering these teams, all looking for those points, but just denied. One player goes down to a snake, and you're all of a sudden completely changed. MSJ, their last chance to demonstrate strength that we've seen from them in the past. An ascension that the South Korean fans would love to see, but they've already got one hope in DRX, and is looking fairly secure for DRX, although it's not out of the question that they could get pushed out. But they are there nonetheless, and happy to be so.
They've got to go crazy in these games, essentially. Keep themselves there. And Mirror and Sejong does not strike me as a team that really wilds out in terms of eliminations. They're a team that keeps you on the back foot by just maintaining presence in the lobby the entire time. Elementrix going for a wide rotate alongside with the rest of the squad. This is over towards the eastern side. They're being overly cautious about this. You can understand why, being in fourth place, 6 points behind Alpha 7, not willing to take any shots from the team potentially in Impala. We're heading into stage 2, 10 seconds away.
Vampire with their surround hold. They're a long shot, but again in that conversation, the shift goes their way. This is a big south move. Gives MSJ a good slice of it. Team Spirit on that south. Vampire in the middle, in danger here. I don't know how long they can hold this position convincingly.
Yeah, Vampire's in a spot where it is playable, right? Inco just roll up on the west side of them. Twisted Mind's likely going to go try and play the ridge side off towards their east. They are allowing a lot of teams to flow in past them, and this is not a game where they can play slow. They have to get those elims early on to push this through into a big game. Because it's 15 points, right? You know, third place, give you 5, so you need 10 elims on top of that. It's a struggle.
DRX looking to get out of there against Muerte to defend their spot in the top 3. Twisted Minds still over in San Martin, not being able to leave under the pressure from BTR. Out on the west side, Zeus as well, a little bit further up to Hacienda, out on the northeast edge. Ora sending in from the north edge and straight towards Alpha 7.
All right, another one of our teams is climbing. Arguably in a better position than Twisted Minds with their 2 extra points they have on side. There's a team that definitely can also make it. And the Paul fans would be super happy to see something like that happen. Loops coming off the back of an exhilarating fight in Hacienda.
You've got to
See how pleased they were.
Definitely. I mean, 4 points is life-changing for your tournament life, at least. Major Pride over the top might spot Jae-Suk. This could be a huge pickup if they're able to find it. Would slow MSJ down something awful. And they found the shots. They're looking to try and open up the cannons now. Can MSJ hold, move into a 2-2 split that they love to take?
Jae-Suk currently just holding on the outside. Not really any positions at the moment for them to split along. They're not in a position where they control a lot of the circles, so likely they'll keep playing as 4 for the time being. But yeah, versus Major Pride, this is a big problem. Alpha 7 losing Revo. Does the res come through? The res is the real important factor here. Sure, he goes down, but as long as they can maintain that 4, it's not so bad. We're already into stage 3. It feels like this game is going at a lightning pace.
Zeus is striking down members of Alpha 7. Fortunately, they do get that res. You can see the shots continuing to go on over. This is the sight lines that allowed this knock to happen in the first place for Zeus. You can see the high ground that they have. This is quite sequestered to the northwest side of this circle, though, and back over towards Graveyard, where this game may go to die. It's the Vampires thematically positioned atop it.
Yeah, awesome position for the Vampires right now. It is slightly exposed towards that south side in terms of a crash being able to come on through. Good play of it. Twisted Minds is stepping on eggshells right now. You can see it in the way they're playing. They have been so unwilling to make any rotates, and you know why, because there must be so many thoughts just battling in their minds right now of what's the correct option to go next. For Coops, there is an unbelievable amount of pressure on him to make the right decision.
Crash in the mid. Vampire open up for two onto Harame Bro, who make the approach. Stowed with that massive high ground there. And Tony K launching a nade. The Vampire nades today have been pretty spicy, and they will continue to do so. A flush and a knock as well, leaving just the one player going, and Tony K's got another one. Oh, beautiful! Not quite making the distance. It looked like it was there, but it was just blocked at the last second. Newsy's got one to unleash and sweeps towards the back line. Will look to find Yappy as Range launches one back in response. A little short nade there from Schweppes is going to slow things down, but the bouncer from Newsy around the edge is great. No, wait a minute. That was Yappy. A self-nade for Harame Bro, and another one towards the back lines. Vampire want to put pressure on. They can't waste too much time here, but they're not going to spend any longer in this. Can they re-establish their control over their position?
So for Harame Bro and RSG, that is their last game of the day, and they will not be joining us for the remainder of PMGC. BTR holding off versus Inco. Good amount of points for them, 3, setting themselves at 109. Horror and Twisted Minds falling further and further behind here.
With those 3 extra points, they may be able to seal this one away. Vampire continue to take shots out, and it's towards Zeus this time. Aaron's there. Vicious bite back towards Tony K. And this guy has been such a powerhouse for Zeus over the season, over the course of this PMGC as well. The nade will fell him, however, and BTR looking to re-establish.
Unfortunate bounce on the pillar there for him. Rita in the back line is getting tagged up. Zeus has the potential to get their players back up on their feet because BTR is being pretty slow on this one. It's a nice nade. Now BTR will finish up. This is what I wanted to see from him, is to get a little bit more aggressive, flex out from position, and that's 5 elims for BTR, securing their spot over towards 10th and 11th place. For Horror, Twisted Minds, massive game required. I think with BTR and Loops both starting the game off with 6 and 4, it is a horrendous situation to be in, and they might have just locked out those teams underneath them.
Vampire with 4 elims now. BTR, you're right, they're just adding up that tally, playing next to that graveyard. Vampires still have oversight on towards it. But on the north side, it's going to Team Spirit. Why not? One last time.
A strong finish from them. I mean, setting themselves up in first place. You'd be so pleased as Team Spirit. And again, at this point in time, it is very unlikely. We'll put it that way. It's very unlikely them to drop out of top 3. I think they sort of know that they've done it. They're still playing out this game, just disciplined, which makes sense during PMGC, looking to finish out strong. But this will be the first time in a long time any of these players have not only got themselves a win from their respective PMSL or region, but then flown straight through in towards the top 3. This is a revitalized squad.
The story for Team Spirit for so long has been, are they going to keep making mistakes? Are they just about going to survive? But now the question is, how far can they go? Because this, you're right, is looking strong for them. Vampire, they're looking pretty good today as well. As Push is the first to fall to them on the approach. The northern side, they've already had to hold off against one push now. The second is up to the bat. Unfortunate pick up there. Tony K on the swivel. 180, finally taken down, but from the top rope, is there any more to do? Tresley has to go for the reload, but he's not going to be able to seal it away quick enough. Newsy's down, and in comes another position. Ora, I got to send on in. The Muerte are eliminated. They're out of the tournament as well. Twisted Minds getting curtailed by Alpha 7, and it's all popping off here into stage 4. Alpha 7 looking to defend their 3rd place position with a fight against the Xavier themselves. Lamborghini pulled out of the vehicle. You are not seeing London tickets today. Alpha 7 want that for themselves.
Alpha 7 just come in and tear Twisted Minds to shreds. Although they had a fantastic match that last game, it is most likely game over here for them. You go up against the Kings of Miramar after taking a chicken dinner here. They are looking for revenge, and that is Twisted Minds out. What a wonderful game they had on Game 5, but it's not what they needed to take this on to the next level. Again, their gameplay here felt very panicked, and it makes sense. It's suddenly they're in a position where maybe there's a chance, and it really can affect your own gameplay. Loops finding one from Mirren Sejong, and also eliminating Seiwoo, putting Mirren Sejong in a very difficult situation to climb above Alpha 7, who just picked up 4 eliminations.
Loops and BTR both adding a lot of points to their tally. Nenebete likely the next to go on to that point score total for BTR. And Aura is having their horizon slip further and further into the distance. It's all done and dusted basically at this point for them. And the conversation has to turn to the top 3. Losing another player for Aura, that could be curtains for them. Satar moves up to the top of the tower, but it's not going to be needed because Lapart is down underneath, and Nenebete falls. 7 elims for BTR.
And they're celebrating as well, and as they should. Very good early game from BTR. They knew what they needed to do. Of course, they were in a slightly more comfortable situation where they were already on that bubble, but Loops and BTR have done exactly what teams need to do when you are 10th and 11th, is you just need to basically go into this game and just run with it as far as you can and take it to the next level. T-Spirit get the circle once again, but BTR and Loops have cemented their position in towards survival stage before Horror or Twisted Minds barely got a chance to get into the conversation.
And the circle itself cements Team Spirit into this one as well. They found 1 point, but how much further can they go? DXavier, they've lost Lamborghini. Alpha 7 were able to extract that point from them. But they still have 3 players, and they can shimmy in. Not too much contest on this side of the circle. In fact, the entirety of the south is completely unoccupied right now, Blank, and that could be a big opportunity to take control of some of these ridge sides. Alpha 7 going to contest for it. They're sending forwards. They're taking the fight to DXavier, looking to defend their spot in the top 3 with an open engagement towards Levi's. The 2 players for DXavier still left at the back as Levi's regroups. They're pulled back behind the headland and use terrain cover.
Yeah, they know they can't play his position anymore. They're terrified when Alpha 7 starts going. It's very difficult to keep them down, and they know better than anyone that they want to remain in that top 3. They know that survival stage is not an easy battleground to play on. It's so important getting into that top 3 more than anything. It's unbelievable because this really does mean that for the rest of the tournament, you can now just study, do your homework, hit up the scrims, and not worry about what's coming in your future, which can drastically change your performance going forward. So now we look to Major Pride and Alpha 7.
Mirren Sejong with an outside chance here, actually in the foothills underneath Major Pride. They can rack up some eliminations, start to gain momentum. That could be it. With Aura taking another knock, we're getting so much closer to locking in our top 11. As much as it might seem done and dusted, you can never say never. It's never over until it's over. And that will ring true right until the final moments of this game, because the top 3 is so tight here. DXavier, I mean, with 3 players, they could also still do it with a big game. Alpha 7, though, they have stretched their lead up into 183 right now. They're only 1 point behind DRX.
Which is unbelievable. Start of the game. I mean, it's been back and forth between DRX and Alpha 7 the entire time. I think a lot of people thought that the one South Korean representative that would be definitely going through, at least from yesterday and the day before, was Mirren Sejong, but DRX has put a stop to that plans. Though I'm pretty confident that Mirren Sejong should be able to do quite well during the survival stage. Off the back of some good rotates. Where was this BTR earlier, though? This is what I want to know.
They needed that mental reset, but unfortunately for Zuxi, you can't mental reset on a nade. Satar in a really important position for them, as Lapan needs to find this res. A Molotov, that will slow things down in the Loops camp. Over Neil Sada goes, he hops in, and the speed is going to take down the backlines of BTR, but what can Satar do about it? It's a 1v1 now across the way for the 2 teams on the bubble. And an opening maybe, but it's so unlikely. The stunner goes out wide, finding the blind here, but in pushes BTR yet again for more of the action, and it's Loops to fall under the shotgun. of Satar on the north side. He scythes through them and Loops close their tournament on the bubble.
Really, really well done to BTR. Honestly, 9 elims apiece for both Loops and BTR, keeping themselves in the limelight of the survival stage. I want to see a little bit more of this from BTR, though, a bit more aggression. They're certainly still struggling when it comes to the team fights, but they look way, way better than they did a couple of days ago. Major Pride on the outside. Marin Sejong prepared for a crash coming through, but Major Pride learned from that last game. They opt not to go for this. It's not worth it. There's a compound down towards the south. It's been spotted out by AZ. They'll happily pick up that position. This is way better for the long run. The difficulty is that Major Pride have only found 1 elim in this game, and 23 players remaining. There's not a lot of points left to siphon from this lobby.
It's really starting to get desperate now. I think DXavier may just be out. They're 24 points behind, 23 when you consider that point that they've gotten so far. And I think with a chicken dinner, maybe DXavier could move up, but it requires everyone to go down now and to go down to DXavier as well. This is their chance, though, to find Alpha 7. Team Spirit close out Aura's game, and we have locked in our top 11. The last player from Aura falls, and now there is no chance that that changes. But the question, as it always has been, is which of these teams will make it to the top 3? Blank, our top 5 are all still in it, and all with a decent chance.
Yeah, fighting for that position. It's incredible that it comes down to this. The top 5 teams that have dominated throughout the entirety of Group Yellow, all battling out to remain in that top 3, and it is close. 173, 179, 184. Team Spirit, realistically, the only team that is going to be very hard to move out of the way.
They've already got 3 elims as well, 4 now as well, so they're up to 206. It's not possible that they fall out of the top 3, I'd wager, at this point. Given the number of points left in the lobby, it would take 2 teams to go past them. I think mathematically it's impossible at this point for them to drop out the top 3. Maybe to get taken over in the top spot, but even then, that's so unlikely. It would require DRX to blast out of their minds, Alpha 7 maybe to sweep through the rest of it as well.
DRX, 3 players left alive. Pmgc a little bit further in. Soez is lucky to live that first one. Unfortunately, it's Major Pride from behind to pick up that shot. And there's hits from the high ground again here. Alpha 7's sort of trapped a little bit as DXavier took that opportunity from earlier on to take control of that high ground.
Every point that Major Pride can steal is a massive benefit. If you can take it from Alpha 7, that's a 2-point swing in your favor as well on your overall situation in the standings. Major Pride at distance, if they can ping off Zoas, that would be huge for them, but they have to shift forwards. DRX now looking to fend off everybody. Our second place team with their first place big bros on the north side as well will look to stop the encroaching hordes. McGrellin leads the charge for Alpha 7 in their last hurrah. Can they take that second place spot away from DRX with this?
Revo goes down to Team Spirit. Paragin also knocked in the high ground. But Major Pride is not having a whole lot of influence over this, and they need those points. They need those eliminations. Grellin steps out. There's Hyunbin, misses the first shot, but immediately will recover.
Major Pride picking up huge points over towards MSJ. That's a 4th elim found. And 1 last player from MSJ there as well. This is what they've been waiting to clear out on their northern side. 4 points moving in, leading that gap now back at 6. And with Alpha 7 starting to wane on the western side, this could be their opportunity. But Alpha 7 find a pick over towards Team Spirit. Major Pride rollout. Hoxie looking for the spray down. The biggest player on the roster by far. But he's not able to connect. Finally, it's going to go down, and Becker will fall and spray it away. Kitsune gets the knock, but Hoxie gets the point.
Ooh, Kaisei so close to DXavier. 1 big nade here could result in 2 knocks and maybe some elims off the back of it. But they reposition, and Kaisei has to being in this game causes big problems for Major Pride. Down to just 3 players now.
Kai'Se can bide his time. Every moment saved here for DRX is another potential point they can earn from placements to ladder on up. Mir and Sejong fall in 5th place. They will languish. If DX Xavier can overtake them, that would be great for Vietnam, but they will not have an easy time to make it further than that. Alpha 7 suffering still out on this western side, but they survive for another moment longer.
Circle has to shift over towards them on the western side. It's the only way they stay in this game. Great nades from Team Spirit.
Oh,
We'll take down a ton of players there from DX Xavier. I think you lads have done enough.
but this is huge. The fact that Team Spirit are getting these points. Paragin goes down, and they're not going to Major Pride. They are not going to Alpha 7. It's still undecided.
Major Pride at this point kind of need the chicken dinner, but somewhat doubtful whether they'll be able to pick it up or not. Good shot from Carrillo over towards Team Spirit. That gives them potentially the opportunity to move out. They head on forward. They know the res is coming through. This is their go time.
They're going to make that maneuver. Revo charges forwards here. Mafioso and Carrillo bringing them up, and Kai'Se goes down. DRX are out. Alpha 7 could push past them and make DRX the team in danger. Major Pride and Alpha 7 together could take South Korea out of this game with these final circles.
Team Spirit moving up. Looking over towards the teams in the distance. Major Pride, Team Spirit, DX Xavier, and Alpha 7. With DX Xavier going down to Major Pride. That's one elim that they desperately needed. Elementrix, who has been so phenomenal for the squad, will open up onto Revo. Confirms the elim too.
A massive pickup for Major Pride. With the right concoction here, Blank, all 3 of these teams could be our 3 survivors from Group Yellow to move through directly to London. All it's going to take is the right numbers to go in at the right time. Team Spirit need to go down first, going over probably towards Major Pride, and then Alpha 7 need to wipe across and get some of those back as well. It would be crazy to think that this last game could come down to our 3 champions, but DRX now with a tie-breaking winner position. They have 4 chicken dinners, Blank, which is currently more than both Alpha 7 and Major Pride. But that could change if one of these 2 teams can take this one home.
Zone 9, final moments of group stage yellow. Carrillo drops up this minor ditch that they've got going on, being the only thing keeping them alive. AZ gets hit by a fat nade. And that's Major Pride down to 2. Team Spirit looking over towards a team that is so wanting for this 3rd place.
Team Spirit decide who they face in those finals directly. Do they want Major Pride to qualify here? Do they want Alpha 7 to find their way through as well? And the fact that Alpha 7's on the line, the defending Pmgc champions in this final game, have to prove themselves once more. Team Spirit with 4 players alive, a revitalized, refreshed, reinvigorated roster with Matic growing into his position, backing up the rest of the team beautifully. As 4, they will move forwards, and Alpha 7 only have the 2 to play with, but Mafioso lights up Elementrix. Evo Station, a big nade over towards Team Spirit, doesn't connect, looks for another as well over towards Nomi, but Elementrix falls. Evo Station out, Major Pride down. Have they done enough? Will they overtake DRX? We'll have to wait and see, because it's Alpha 7 now, the last to stand in the way of Team Spirit. Mafioso gives it a good go, but Matic rolls on forwards. They roll out the red carpet, and they will bring Alpha 7 with them. The top spot is theirs, the final chicken dinner, and Team Spirit make it work. Yet again, they evade the survival stage.
A 1st place in PMSL EMEA in the finals to a 1st place here in group stage yellow. The group of death, yet Team Spirit are the reapers on your screen. An unbelievable performance, and finally they get that direct invite they've been looking for so long, and Kitsune still seems chilled.
Hey, ain't no big thing, but have Alpha 7 done enough to hold on? DRX, are they still in? Major Pride, where did they end up? It's all to play for on those overall tables. If you've been crunching the numbers, you may be ahead of us on this one, but over to the desk to see who's made it. Our top 3 awaits.
I
cannot believe Team Spirit bringing in Matic, coming to the fall season of PMSL EMEA to win the fall season and now to win the group here in Group Yellow. What a way to start off Pmgc. I cannot wait to see what red and green have to show us, of course. But gentlemen, what a fantastic way for Team Spirit to finish with the chicken dinner as well.
Oh, man. One of the most intense finishes, Hot Jukes, it has to be. One of the most crazy finishes we've had in the group stage of PMGC, period. You had Alpha 7, you had Major Pride, you had Team Spirit, all competing for something different going into this tournament. But Alpha 7, they were really trying, Jukes, to just get as many points at the end as they possibly could to secure their spot in the top 3. I think it would have been enough, but Major Pride definitely gave it a good try this match.
Yeah, they gave it a good try. The thing is, though, I think Major Pride just played this like a regular match, you know? Like, they were just kind of going for just a regular chicken dinner, and it kind of frustrates me quite a bit because, I mean, they should know exactly how many eliminations they needed, you know? And if they're looking at the feed, they would realize that, okay, Alpha 7 is still in this, you know? Mm-hmm. So it would have paid dividends for them to be a little bit more active, you know? And, unfortunately, they, like I said, they just played it regular, and Alpha 7 made it happen.
Looking at Team Spirits, man, 5 elims, 3 elims, 4 elims. Jason, it feels so good because we talked about it a bit earlier, right? We used to see Team Spirit back in HVVP or even G Gladiators play an edge when they had this insanely talented team when it comes to fragging power. Man, this team now, of course, a few different players, but playing center has worked out tremendously well for them. If this playstyle, I'm not even joking, could be so successful going into the finals. Team Spirit, this is the best they've ever looked, in my opinion, and I really hope this is going to keep going this way in the future because, damn, they impressed me at the end.
I mean, you think back to Pmgc. Did they make it to the main event? No. They failed in the last chance, and they failed horribly, especially with the back-to-back hot drops they pulled off in the very first day of play. But for them to bounce back like this now, regroup mentally, and have such a dominating performance as well here in this group has been fantastic to see. But I'm also still really curious to see what other teams have been able to make it through as well. Also looking back down towards, you know, the top 11, I think that was more solidified as we went on through that game of who we knew would make it and unfortunately not make it. But this has been a very interesting group, and if this is any indicator of how the other groups are going to go, I just, you know, forget these 2 days off. Let's just jump straight into Group Red.
Right? I can't wait, that's for sure. Man, I'll tell you, the MWC, at the end of that day, I saw Kitsune, even though it was like the worst performance we could have expected. They didn't make it to the finals. The man was just walking around whistling, just like we didn't have a worry in the world. I think he knew. Like, he was like, hey, you know what? Today wasn't my day, but come end of the year, we're going to bring it. And dang, did they do exactly that, man.
Yeah, it's really such a good change of pace for this team. And yeah, again, going into the finals, hopefully we don't have a PMWC 2.0 happening for them, but they're going to be definitely a lot more confident. And Matic, I feel like they just had a meeting at some point. Kitsune is just saying, I know what we need. We need a Matic Classic right about now. And it was just what they needed going into PMGC, it seems. But what an incredible game. And especially, it even started from the get-go, right, Hodgix? We saw in some of the replays. RSG hot dropping in Hacienda del Patron, the side of Loops. And Loops then were, at some point, the cutoff with BTR, already increasing that top 11 point barrier, realistically, making it so harder for your Twisted Mind or your Horror to really catch up. So, from the get-go, the nail was somewhat in the coffin for those bottom teams.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it watching it, Jason, right? Just the last game, shenanigans are always there. I mean, you have to, that's why I stress so much. You got to perform before the last game and put yourself in a better spot. Because if you need those points towards the end, it's just not the same game as you played the entire tournament. And we saw RSG just like say, hey, you know what? We're already out of this. Let's just go and just full send it. Why not? And that just makes the lobby that much more difficult, right?
Yeah, 100%. As we can see here, 23 points for Team Spirit, and with 10 points, they secured their spot into the survival stage at a minimum. But yeah, just a shame here for Vampire as well, as we did see that fight in the warehouse, losing out on one. They couldn't really pick up enough limbs later on to transition into anything much off of that. Same with Xavier. It's been an interesting couple of days here, but I'm more curious about what our overalls are going to be.